Welcome back, sweeties. It is another Saturday afternoon. It's lovely outside. We have Daniel Hota here, the crew of the Listen Sweetie. I'll let him say hi real quick.
What's up, everybody?
Yo.
Oh, Daniel. Very nice. Very nice introduction.
It's very professional, yes, thank you.
We appreciate it, as always. And we have here some lovely guests. Hopefully you saw the post on Facebook and Instagram, I think. I tried to do. I can't do
I know
too much of that. I can't keep up, Snapchat, everything. We put it on all of them. But we've got Lenny here to my right. We've got Wanda. And we've got Lady, who's coming back for a second dose of Listen Sweetie, right? Yes. What?
She liked it so much that he has to come back for a second time.
Yes. We also we also couldn't get enough of her, like oversharing.
Oh gosh, yes.
So that's why she's back. No, I'm kidding. But let me let our guests introduce themselves, and then hopefully we get to know them a little bit before we start talking about the topic. So I'll let you start, Lenny.
Oh yes. Hello, I am Lenny Mendez. I am an actress based in the DMV area.
Here you.
Oh yeah. And what else did you want us to reveal? Our passions, correct?
Yeah, passions. Yeah, I mean also, where you're from. If you could let us know where you're from and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I was born in Bolivia, and
Oh.
I came. Yeah, Cochabamba.
There we go.
Hey. And then I came here to the USA when I was around 5. So
Very
I
young.
started school here. Like we were talking Spanish at home, English at school. So
How
I
was-
grew up bilingual, and I'm so grateful.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
And then some of my passions include arts, theater, Netflix, food,
Netflix.
a bunch of stuff. Yeah.
Food is good. Yeah, I think all of us. Did we record an episode about food already?
We did. That was our last episode.
Oh, yeah, that was the last episode.
I don't
It
keep.
didn't air yet, yeah?
It did. It did only on YouTube, and then Neo's lacking. He hasn't posted it on.
I agree. I try to keep up, but
Go on, Daniel.
On top of everything that I've already done. Yes,
I
that's
apologize.
right.
I mean, the ladies can attest. We didn't do anything. They was like setting everything up, but we were just looking at him. So yes, Daniel, we will cut you some slack. You have an extra week.
Thank you.
But is that anything else you want to share, Lenny, before we pass it on to Wanda?
I grew up playing in the streets. I didn't have
Yeah.
no play dates, so you're about to hear some ignorant stuff.
Yes, there you go. Play on the streets. There you go. That's good. I think we're all street rats.
Street Fighter.
We're street fighters, right?
Yeah.
Street rats. There you go. Wanda, I'll let you get to know you. I don't know. I can't even speak. Go ahead.
You will get to know me.
All right, there you go.
Yes. I'm Wanda, and I am the only Salvadorian here.
Hell yeah.
And yes, I am repping for all the Salvatrucos.
Yeah.
Let's see, passions. I don't know that I can say that that I have a lot of passions, but the few that I have, I'm really obsessed about. And one of them is running. I love running.
Oh.
It's therapeutic
Nice.
for me.
Good.
It's also, the only way that I can de-stress. And the other thing that I absolutely love is actually the industry in which I work, which is technology. So
Nice.
I don't know how to code. I don't know how to do a bunch of stuff, but I can absolutely get, immersed in everything that is technology. And I'm super into, AR right now, augmented reality,
Yes.
like all the cool stuff that are coming out. But it is really dope. Like, you don't have to understand it to get excited about it. Like, you don't have to understand, how a rocket works to get excited about the fact that you're going out of into space. So let's see what else. I also played in the streets, so I am assuming that I also will be a little bit ignorant. So
There you go. We have to find better guests. Everybody's ignorant, apparently. we need to find some guests that have some more real insight. I'm kidding.
Because I was about to say, I think we're gonna have some insight.
No.
But speaking of, I came to the U.S. When I was 12. In 1999, we moved from San Salvador, the capital of El Salvador, into Arlington, Virginia, and so that was I was telling you just before, is such a culture shock for me. And of course, it's just before, it's just as you're leaving childhood into trying to transition into adulthood, and it's just pretty chaotic, but it's cool stuff. And a year later, I met Lady.
There you go, Lady. You all know Lady. She shared enough already, so we don't need to know.
We know her a little too well at this point.
I don't think want to listen to the podcast. The other one about the mamas, but she knows my birth story. I've heard her birth story. And
There we
kinda
go.
Share the birth story about everything. A little too much sometimes, but
Cool.
let's go. So everybody knows me. I'm Lady, and I've what is it? There's some stuff I like. Well, dancing is the major thing I really love. I haven't done it in a while, as you can see, but.
All kinds of dancing.
Yes, in college actually I took ballroom dancing. I learned like the fancy ballroom dancing, which I really loved, and I went to get professionally in it. But then I realized it's not possible. But
It's not possible.
well, you have to start off as a like a child,
Really young.
kind of, because they discipline you in the way that you have control over your body. And I mean, I could do it now, but then that would mean I have to neglect everything else in life, which is like.
It's the same thing with me in soccer. Like I'm kidding. No, but they start young now. That's what I mean. Like, right? You have to start young to be able to like grow into something or be more. You know.
I tried to get my son in it, and he was like, he looked at me like I was crazy, and I was like, well.
Your son in it?
Yeah. I wanted him to like ballroom dance because they do like these little flicks with their hips and stuff. Because have you guys seen watch Dancing with the Stars?
No.
Sometimes.
No, but I've seen that movie.
Yeah.
What's that movie? Shall We Dance?
Yeah. So, but he definitely shot that down and said, "I am gonna do football." So.
Yeah, that's right, Bruno.
Shut it down. Kidding.
But yeah, I don't really have. I guess another thing for in regards to what else I like, just dancing. And my field of profession is I'm in the finance world / accounting. I'm an auditor.
Nice.
And I also grew up in the middle of both the streets and then
In the middle of the streets and the sheets.
Oh,
There is a saying. I'm just repeating it.
up to 11 years old, I grew up in the street. Like I played in the streets, and then once we moved to an all-white neighborhood, that no longer existed. Which is
What? They don't let you. They don't let the white kids out.
They didn't want to come out and play with us.
Oh, they played amongst each other. They don't
They
include
didn't come
you.
out at all, but.
Oh, okay. I
But we
got
did
you.
like have other friends that lived like a little bit further out that they would come knock on our doors, and it was like a brother sister. The guy was in my grade. Oh, I remember Marcus.
Yeah, I remember Marcus.
Yeah, because he used to live around there, but we played with them, and we learned a little bit more of like a different diversity. Cause,
Where was Marcus from?
He was African American,
But
but he was like, I think his family. Well, I guess not African American, Black American. Because he was. It's how it's a different type of.
So he was African or just American?
American, yes.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
like Foster.
Foster.
Like Foster.
Clearly
Guess they came last week.
Clearly you didn't
Well,
watch
it's
the last
also not the
episode.
kind-
'Cause you didn't post it.
Yeah, I wasn't on Spotify.
It was on YouTube.
This guy.
It's also not the kind of thing that, like, what 11-year-olds really sit down and talk about.
If you ever have a race podcast, I have cause
we do have a
my
race
my
podcast
because I
coming
tested all this on my son about race, and I don't know if you've done that with your daughter, but just to see if he would identify the difference between race. I was like, oh, so where's your friend from, or how does he look like? And then my son would be like, he looks like me, like he's a boy with hair.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I remember watching what is that show, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, when I was in Bolivia, and I used to think like they have perfect hair because that's how black people will have really nice cuts, and I always wondered how Jeffrey had that perfect hair. It almost looked fake, but other than that, I saw no difference. Like I didn't know. Oh, they're just like me, but they just have more, like, I guess more perfect skin than us.
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
That's exact. So and also I used to watch The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I used to watch Family
Family Matters?
Yeah, so it was in Spanish, so it was
With Steve Urkel.
Yeah.
Steve Urkel.
I don't know, Dale. That's how you pronounce it in Bolivia, man. Continue, Wanda.
And I, honest to goodness, had no understanding of race until I came here. Like I had no idea that was a thing. They just looked normal. Like it was just
a different kind of people, right? It was just people.
Yeah, it was just people.
Yep, that's exactly what it is. But that's not the topic for today. So
sorry.
no, it's good.
Continue.
It's good. No, it's good. It's good because we definitely want to talk about that. That's a very sensitive topic. It's also a very controversial topic, especially nowadays with everything that's happening. So we'll touch on that at some point. But today we want to talk about Women's History Month. March.
Hey.
Yeah, right. We all have women in our lives, and we invited you all because we can't speak of how a woman feels. We can't express that because we're not. But we can share stories from our experiences with my wife, for example, my mom. And same with their interactions with their significant others and parents. So hopefully, you guys can let us into the mind of a woman today a little bit, and how you guys have experienced the recent years, the time that you've been alive. And I don't know, did you guys ever think of that when you were younger? Did you guys ever feel like how early in life do you remember saying, oh, I'm a woman and I'm a different? Could you guys remember that?
Very early.
Very early?
Oh, very early.
Yeah. For all of you?
I
For you
think
too,
that
Lenny?
if I dig into my, I'm sorry.
No, please.
I'm like really invested. Go ahead.
If I dig into my memory banks as to the first time that I recall, being a girl, it has to be, school uniforms, right? So in El Salvador, we started kindergarten when you're 4. And so school uniforms, the girls wear skirts and the boys wear pants. And that is just how it is. And the girls usually have long hair and the boys usually have shorter hair. So it was very clear to me who the boys and the girls were. And of course, you're introduced to toys and you're introduced to the kind of games. Boys were, of course, running around and doing a bunch of rough stuff, while the girls were, doing, patty cakes and, other things.
Cooking.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
things,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, mud cakes and
Yeah.
whatever, or playing with dolls. So yeah, that was, if like I said, if I dig into my memory, I think that's the first actual identification of being different than a boy.
Yeah, for me, honestly, I never really thought of it. I grew up with 2 older sisters. My father was the only man in the house, and I never thought of it. Honestly. It wasn't until I got to high school and college where I was enlightened about the injustices with females and males. Because honestly, before that, I didn't really experience discrimination as a female. I know that sounds really weird, but I honestly never thought of it ever. Because I had a normal life.
Do you think that has to do with your parents perhaps doing a really good job at maybe bringing you guys up with good manners and stuff, and treating everyone equally, as well as kind of shielding you from the outside world, to make sure that you guys don't suffer through things like that? For instance, your dad will take care of certain things around the house, so you wouldn't have to do those type of things.
Right when you said that, something popped to my mind. All my white friends were allowed to have sleepovers, and I was never allowed to sleep over. And I was like, Mom, why? And Dad, why? And they're like, you can't trust nobody.
Yeah.
Wanda would sleep over my house. I wouldn't sleep over her. Oh, actually, never mind. We did once only, I think, right?
I think so.
Yeah, but for the most part, my mom was the same way. She was
Is it a Bolivian thing you're saying? Is that maybe what it is?
No, I think it's
No,
just
my mom, I think, let me sleep over at your house once, and that was just
Oh, so
because-
your mom didn't. I thought your mom did and you didn't. No,
No.
neither of your mothers will allow you to.
No.
It's maybe an international thing, because going back to the whole I realized the differences when I was in middle school, because that's kind of when my mom started instilling the ideas you're a woman, there's certain expectations of you. You gotta learn how to cook, clean, and then I think I touches on this earlier, but not touch on it a lot. But my brother didn't really do much, and I think that's when I was I don't think it's fair that women should have a specific title saying they have to do all this stuff. But again, that goes back to the culture and how that's how it is in our Latin American countries. I'm not sure if other countries are like that, but that's, I guess, what the norm would be.
Yeah, I think you're right, because it is. It goes out to maybe outside of the United States, because we have friends that are not from Latin American countries, from Iraq, and it was the same. It was the same. Women always served dinner for everybody. The parents never cooked. The parents, the males, right? They never did any of that, any of the preparation. So we've experienced that even here with folks that are not from the same countries that we are, or at least Hispanic countries. So yeah, I think it is, maybe more widespread outside of the United States. And here, in our case, for example, it is different, because I'm 10 years older than Daniel. Jota is 8 years older than Daniel, and then Daniel has twin, Daniela, right? She's the female, right, of the whole family.
Poor Daniela.
So she's the only one, and then she's one of the other one of the boys. I mean, it's jokingly, but also true, a little bit true, because we don't we treat her as one of us because we're rough playing with her and joking the same way that we joke amongst each other, because I think that's how guys express love for each other. At least as my friends, I always the most, if I'm making fun of you, is because I'm expressing
because we love you.
Yeah, that's what it is. But and so Daniela is that's how we do it. The more fun that we're making of you, the more we love you. But so that's and then I was saying all that to just say that at home, when it came to washing dishes after we ate, serving, setting out the table, those things, we had to do that because I was the oldest. Jota was right after me. Daniela and Daniela were young, and then we had to set the table. Did what we consider, traditional stuff that women would do. My mom would be wash, cooking. I started trying to make rice when I was very young, but I always ended up burning it and stuff. I'm sure everybody burnt rice at some point. Yeah. It's all just black at the bottom. It's then you try to hide it, but at least I
not
tried.
with me. I always made perfect rice.
There you go.
Really?
He's
No,
lying.
that's
He's a rice cooker, maybe.
Yeah.
Not the real way. All right, but so what were we talking about?
No, we're talking about how there's expectations of women, right? And so how has that affected you guys? Because I know at a certain point, if something is expected of you and you're not okay with it, I know for sure. So let me guys tell you this quick story, and you guys can share something. So when I came to this country, just like you guys, it was at a weird age when I was kind of just becoming more of a teen and trying to develop myself and find myself. And everyone asked me, and I never played soccer, or never took soccer serious. But when I came to this country, everyone was like, hey, so who's your favorite player? And I was like, I don't have a favorite player. Do you play soccer? I was like, no, but let's play. And I was like, you suck at soccer. And I was like, yeah, but it's like, how do you suck? You're Latino. You should be good at soccer. You know what I mean? That was expected of me. And because of that, for the longest time, I hated soccer, and I did everything outside of soccer. I was playing basketball. I even tried skateboarding, and I sucked at it, but I was a skater boy for a long time. But so how have you guys, experienced something like that has maybe helped you develop your character and become who you are now?
Honestly, when you say what is expected of you, that brings so many back memories. What was expected of me really shaped me as a woman I am now. It really took my confidence down, because I could never meet those expectations of crossing my legs, or when I'm wearing a dress, freaking cooking, cleaning up, cleaning the right way. It's just many.
That's a true statement. Cleaning the right way.
You know what I mean?
The right way.
Just doing all these things the right way, and it really I couldn't say anything about it because that was the culture around me, that was the norm, and I had to conform. And it wasn't until I was out of my house, living on my own, that I could build myself again. I was reborn, and I was enlightened in school as well, in college.
How if you don't mind me asking, how old was that? How
I
old
was out
were
of my
you?
house when I was 21.
21.
I've been living on my own for about 6 years. And I think it's, oh God, I'm about to get vulnerable. I mean, honestly, because I'm the baby of the house. My sisters are 6 years older than me. They're were born and they were raised on this Bolivian culture. My family was, I grew up here. I'm an American. I would say I grew up when I was 5 years old. So this is very true culture shock. So it was really difficult for me to adapt to the cultures at home and then go out into the world where I had all different types of friends and they all are experiencing their own norms. So it was very difficult for me. I would unfortunately, as a millennial, but I'm very grateful for the state I am right now because of school and the whole Me Too movement and the Time's Up. That's when I was oh my God, this is our time.
What's Time's Up? I haven't heard
Time's
of that.
Up is the unequal payment, especially in it was mostly advertised in the Oscars.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys remember.
Yes.
People wear ribbons and
Yeah.
stuff. And then the Me Too movement is about sexual harassment
Yeah.
That one.
That one was more popular. That's a bad thing. That's a
Yeah,
bad way
that
to
was
describe
more
it.
popular.
It's, it's more known. It's more known.
That is true.
It's more
It
popular.
happens more often.
Yeah, that's
It does happen more often, and I guess, yeah. But no, that's interesting that you because I think you're right. I think like you came at an age where like you were exposed to a completely different like childhood than your sisters, right?
Absolutely.
So then you don't like maybe they're okay with what they were taught by when they were back home,
Yes.
and then you're not, and they're like, why do I have to do this? And blah, blah, blah. How do you fight that back? 'Cause I always fight with this guy.
You
oh,
do?
Oh no, we don't, right?
No, I
Oh,
don't think so.
okay.
Do we?
I'm kidding. No, but yeah. So that's interesting. And do you have any siblings, Wanda?
I do. I have a sister and I have a brother, and I'm the oldest.
So you're
yeah.
the boss.
A little bit, and I think that goes back to the expectations that you were talking about. I think that if I had been, you know, a birth assigned male, you know, and been the oldest, the expectation would have been that of protection. The expectation would have been that of leadership, perhaps some sort of like financial help to your sisters or whatever. But there would have, I'm assuming, at least in Latin America, it seems, there wouldn't have been an expectation of changing diapers or an expectation of making sure that you cuddled with them or making sure that you kiss boo-boos, you know, or that you do any of those things. However, I'm female, so my reality was I was expected to be both very rigid and make sure that they stayed on schedule and make sure that, you know, they didn't do anything dumb after school when my mom wasn't around. And I was also expected to be sensitive and to, you know, cry with them and to be with them, you know, and to a certain extent mother them, which once again, if I had been male, that just, I don't believe that would have been the expectation. I'm from El Salvador and we eat tortillas like all the time. And I am telling you, I don't know that the expectation would have been that if I had been male for me to learn how to tortear, right? How to make a tortilla. And my reality was when I came into this country, because in El Salvador, you find tortillas like you find pan, right? Like you find bread. It's like everywhere. So I never learned how to make one because do you all make your own bread? No, you go to the store and you get it, right? So that's exactly how I used to be in El Salvador. I come here, you know, and everybody wants to eat tortillas, and they're like, we gotta start making them. So I had to learn, you know, and it was just, you know, it was great. I mean, I still know how to make it, so it's cool.
Fun fact, Wanda got a really passing grade for showing her class how to make tortillas.
That
in
was
college.
awesome. Yes, that was fantastic.
It took her a couple hours to get it all together, and then it took my friend, weeks to do?
Yes. So, super parents, real quick, we have a friend who is an attorney for the government. She's super successful out in Hawaii, and she is successful because she's incredibly dedicated to her work. And she and I had this communications class together. There was a final presentation, and she worked on weeks on this trafficking of child sex trafficking investigation. So she was going to present it. Mind you, the grading criteria was on how she was going to present it, not necessarily the topic. And it was the same deal for me. I kept slacking. Literally the night before, I put together a bunch of slides on how to make a tortilla. I presented it. I took flour and I made it in front of the class. I got a B+ and she got an A, and she was so angry because the difference wasn't a lot. But anyway, that's
very true.
But the point is, yes, so then I guess that did work, that I ended up being female and learning how to do that, because I did get that.
So there are some perks of being female. Is that what you're saying?
A B+
There's a ton of perks to being female, but they keep being stripped away by sexism. You know, that's the unfortunate reality.
No, I'm sorry, and I don't mean to make fun of it. That's not what I'm doing.
No, and I don't think you are. I don't think you are. I don't think you are. I think that
for anybody listening, I'm just trying to you know, because that's what we do here. We try to make things easier to swallow, right? Because there's a lot of things that we talk about that are sensitive to people, right? Race, right? We're talking about, you know, the difference in gender, right? That's not an easy thing to talk about. Religion, we talked about it at some point, but it's the reality. And how do you face reality? You know, how can you deal with it when you can't laugh at it a little bit? Because it's unfortunate what's happening, and hopefully our generation and our kids' generations can change things, right? Because I think we are, based on what you were saying earlier, right? You're a 5-year-old that came here to the United States and then had a completely different experience. That experience that you had is going to affect how you raise your kids, whether we want it or not. Same thing with you, lady, right? Your experience and you're fighting with your brother and your mom about like the inequalities that we were experiencing at home changed who you are as a mother, and hopefully is changing who your kid is going to be, right? So
Bruno's cooking.
he's cooking right now. Right now, he left him out. It better be hot when I get here and all served.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that's good. I think that is a good change. But I think change is hard, isn't it? I don't know what you guys feel. Even as a like changing your siblings, let me like your sisters, right? I'm guessing that's hard. Has it been hard, like arguing about things that you see differently?
Oh yeah, they like think they're right all the time. Which most of the time they are. But honestly, so something you said it's easier to swallow to talk about topics like that, which is so true, because if you're always talking serious, people don't want to be serious all the time.
Yeah.
So it's a good idea to make things comedy, to make it, because in comedy comes realizations. People learn in different ways, so I think it's really interesting you said that. I mean, honestly, my sisters, they were totally accustomed to the cultural norms of a machista world. That's all I want to say.
Yeah.
A machista world. This world was built for a man. America was built for the white man. And it's this system that is just built for them to rise. And I am just so happy that feminism is on the rise and being discussed more and more, because I didn't know about all this injustices until we started talking about it, honestly. The more we talk about it, I think it brings awareness to what is wrong in this society and stuff, yeah.
So, talking about injustice and as far as like women, so one of the big movements, and I don't know if there was like a hashtag for it, but it was with the women's national team.
The soccer?
The soccer,
yeah,
the women's national soccer team. And obviously their case was that they win World Cups, that they fill the stadiums compared to men, that they win more games, and ultimately they're just 100 times better than the men's national team. But they're not getting paid the same amount of money, or they're not getting paid anywhere near close to what the failing soccer men's national team is doing. So what are your thoughts on that? You guys have heard of this story, right? Or
yeah, I've heard of it, but I don't really keep up with soccer. But the only thing I guess I can say to that is, I feel like the majority of the community watching soccer is mostly men, which brings in the viewers, it brings in the money, all
which
that
kind of
stuff.
goes back to what she said. What this is a man's world, and it's because
I don't watch soccer, and not even female soccer. I don't think anybody in my family watches. They mostly watch the men play. Yeah, because even you guys watch.
I watch the women's team sometimes.
I'm just kidding. But
sometimes.
And one player.
But even with the Super Bowl, it brings so much attraction. People are paying millions of dollars for a minute advertising, and it's because everybody is waiting for this day to watch, turn on TV. And it's not just men, but it's also women. But I think with soccer, majority of men just seem to watch other men.
So let me ask you this question. So to just emphasize what he was asking. So if they're doing the same job, and this goes to one of the questions that I sent you, right? If people are doing the same job, men and women are doing the same job, to clarify, they should get paid the same, right? And then in the example that he set, right, women are playing soccer for the national team of the United States of America. The men are doing the same thing, yet the men are getting paid a lot more, and the women are getting paid a lot less. Are you guys okay with that, or what do you?
I also want to clarify that I'm pretty sure that the women viewership is actually higher than the men's soccer team. The other thing I'll say, I watch soccer feverishly, and my family does as well, and I'll tell you right now, I'm Real Madrid, but I will watch Barcelona because it's good soccer, but I'll watch them. I don't like them, but I'll watch it, And it's the same thing with women's soccer. Like if you like good soccer, you're gonna watch it, right? But the other piece that I'll say is I think the other pain point for them wasn't just we're not getting paid enough. It was they weren't getting funding. The way that the men's were getting, they weren't getting the marketing dollars that the men were getting, despite the fact that they were world champions. They also like their locker rooms were, what I'm saying? Like it went beyond just, are they bringing in enough? Because they were. And so to answer your question, it's quite simple. If two people are expected to deliver on something, you have to pay them the exact same amount of money. It just
I think even going a step further, if you're paying people on merit, like on like what they're delivering, who deserves more? Like if we're talking about just the soccer teams, right? Clearly the women's team, because they've won championships, they've won World Cups. And the men's have not even gotten to the quarterfinals, I think, ever once, right? I could be wrong, I don't know. So the U.S. has not really gotten further out there, and it doesn't matter, like, I guess. And I think another valid and great point that you made is the number of people that watch in the United States that watch soccer prefer to watch, the women's team because they deliver, because they have, right? And then, like, we're talking about the World Cup. The Women's World Cup wasn't too long ago. It was, 2-3 years ago? I watched the games. I kept up with it. And it's, the audience is growing. And I think it is changing to hopefully pull in more people, pull in more viewers. And I think that's the unfortunate part. That's what drives it, right?
I mean, unfortunately, I hate to be that girl, but God, I don't know many people who watch women's soccer.
Yeah, that's my.
It's really unfair, and I get it, merit based, but they don't bring the viewers. As a theater major, people will go to the shows that are most popular and get the most funding. But, women's soccer, they're on the rise, and I'm so happy for them, but they don't have that, like, stamina that will bring in funding, will bring in viewers, will bring in money. But I do agree that they should get equality within locker rooms and trainings. Recently, this TikToker of basketball, I don't know if you guys have heard.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. So apparently this basketball team, there's like a woman and men's basketball team. They're like March Madness. The men's team had a whole room of weight room, but then this TikToker who was on the national women's team, she's like, how can the men get a whole room of weight room, but us women, we get one little stand
I saw
of barbells. And it went viral, and her next TikTok, they got a whole room.
That goes to making change.
Yes.
Because of her.
Yeah.
Right, but you have to go viral,
yeah,
right, in order for anything.
Because I agree with you in regards to, like, I didn't know that they were not getting the same marketing funds and all that stuff. That's not fair, I guess.
It's not, and it would be pretty cool if we could attach some of those figures, perhaps, to this, because I want to say, like, I understand what you're saying, but I'm almost sure, they are world champions. Like, they won the world championship in 1995, and they, they had that really awesome final with Japan right after Japan had the tsunami. And, like, so I would say, I think the men are really not as good financially for the federation as the women are, and I think that's the
So I guess maybe the question would be, like, then why aren't these organizations spending so much on the women and spending more on the men if the women are bringing in all this?
That's so true.
I think it comes
because that's the assumption. The assumption is no one's gonna watch women's soccer. The assumption is they will watch men, so they will invest on men. The merit-based, situation, who gets to decide what merit means? Yeah. If you are a man and you get to decide that merit means that you are another man, then you're going to get that job and you're going to get that raise and you're going to get that promotion. Right. So, it goes deeper, than...
There's a lot of layers to it. There's a lot of layers to it. Yeah, for sure.
And that's why it's so hard to change it, because it's so nuanced.
And I think a lot of the people that are still in power still have that old mentality where, right? Because I think all of us here, and I'm guessing hopefully our generation, have a different mentality than someone that's 60, 70 years old and making the decisions that are made, because they've been exposed to a different lifestyle. So I think hopefully, I mean, and it's unfortunate that it doesn't happen overnight, but no good change can happen overnight. I think just in general, that's, it takes some time for things to develop and change into something good. And the quicker we do it in certain scenarios, the better, of course. Like this one is one of them, but.
I also want to talk about how this even got noticed. It's because the women's soccer team began talking. They were talking about like, hey, this is unfair. And that perceives as complaining or nagging. And that's a whole conversation. Because we're speaking up, apparently, it's because we're nagging, we're tired, we're complaining. And that's another issue.
That is very true. Yes. Because actually, Evelyn and I would watch a lot of Survivor.
That's a show?
The show Survivor.
Okay.
And if you guys don't know, have you guys heard of Survivor?
Mm-hmm.
A little bit. So there's a lot of strategy that plays into it. And like the more you talk and the more you socialize with people, like the better your chances are. You can work your way around. So when a guy does a move or when a guy does something and he's very strategic about it, they're like, wow, he's a mastermind. He's very, he's an intellectual. But when a girl does it, it's like this evil bitch. Like she's like she's applauding bitch. Like that. That's like the mentality. Like no matter. I mean, even if that girl did the exact same move that the guy did, but she will always be seen as that. Yeah, pretty much, right? So, is that something that falls on our society? Like, what is it? Why is it like that? Because it is true. Like, right? If a guy does something, he's like, oh, he's a macho. And a girl does.
It kind of goes back to culture, right? And the way you were raised, and because like coming from a Latin American country, like I said, we were told to the man is the man of the house.
Head of the house.
And he needs to be catered to all the time. He shouldn't be doing anything. And like you're running around as a kid and you're being told stop running, sleeping, he needs to sleep, kind of thing. And if people tend to say, okay, if they growing up they say, okay, this is the norm, this is okay, I'm gonna raise my kids this way. And so that's kind of like a repeating cycle over and over. Just with me, like my mom was great, we loved her and everything. There are disagreements in regards to equality, but I took that more of a learning experience, saying I want my son to know that he is as equal as a woman. He will never be above her or anything. They work together, he and his wife or girlfriend, they get married, and they will help each other, because that's how. And if you change someone's perspective growing up that way, saying like you're not better because you're a man, but
put him down.
No.
I'm kidding. I'm just joking.
But tell them that, like, there is an equality. Like right now, I can give you examples at home. My son cleans the house as much as I do. I make sure. And then he sometimes questions me. He's like, I don't understand why I need to clean. I'm like, because one day you're going to have a place of your own. No woman's going to come and clean for you. And his idea is like, well, I can just hire someone. I'm like,
there you go.
Listen, while you're trying to get yourself up from the ground, paying your student loans, you're going to have to do it on your own, kind of thing. Like, I just find ways of, and even like with the whole cooking and cleaning and like washing dishes and stuff. But if a generation grows up thinking it's okay for me to let my man sit there while I do all of this, wash the dishes, clean the house, do laundry for like my 5 kids or whatever, then those kids are going to grow up either thinking like, hey, it's okay, or they're going to grow up and saying, no, it's not fair, I'm going to change. So, and if there is no change, that kind of gets rolled over years and years and years, and therefore there's no change even in the world of the economy world, I guess.
Yeah. And so it goes back to the expectations. You're having Bruno grow up expecting that humans who need to eat cook, and that's kind of it, right? It has nothing to do with your gender or any of that. In the expectation of just try to notice how many times men interrupt women and it's okay, and how many times women even attempt to interrupt a man, right? Just try to check that out. Try to see.
I'm gonna interrupt. I'm just kidding.
Exactly. No. And it felt natural as soon as you did it. For me, it felt so natural because I'm so used to it as a woman. And I think we don't even notice it. I honestly hadn't noticed it.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I honestly hadn't noticed it. And so, those things, men can be direct, men can be absolute jerks. And they are, and I mean, look at the president that we just had. He was strong and he was whatever the heck, when in reality, he was an absolute mental case, right?
Yeah.
but a woman who ran against him, who was so freaking qualified, right? Who, was told, you didn't smile enough, you weren't likable enough, her policies weren't attacked, which they should have been. If you don't like her, attack her politics, but don't attack her smile,
Yeah.
So those are the kinds of things, which is, it's two different worlds that we live in, and we have to traffic in them together. And the worst part is that now in the workforce, we are competing with each other, but the reality is, it's usually women competing against women because, men are so insulated, from, our little world that it just makes it really hard.
Yeah, in the workforce is quite a tricky subject, because I think people don't hire women because they get pregnant, and by law they are required to be allowed to come back after pregnancy. That's one of the reasons I've learned in one of my my business classes, that's why women don't get hired enough.
Because of pregnancy?
Yeah.
So in the workforce, I haven't experienced any of that, luckily.
Yeah.
I feel like the firm that I work for has actually tried to adapt to the changes that are with the generations coming. Like, women can get 3 months, 4 months, or even 6 months if they want. It's that flexibility. I remember when I got pregnant, I was working at a credit union, and they told me that I couldn't take 6 weeks, and I was like, 6 weeks? Because think about it,
It's like a month and a week, right?
Yeah, well, 2 weeks basically.
Like a month and a half.
Yeah.
A month and a half.
And because I'm thinking, like, my baby will still be breastfeeding, my body's still gonna be recovering from all that, and I would like to spend some time with my baby. But not every workplace has the ability to do that. I've seen a couple of mothers who have gotten pregnant at my current workplace, and they've been offered like 6 months and with pay, and it's not even
6 months?
Yeah.
Girl,
Hook it up.
where's this? Let me plan
That's-
my career around this.
That seems okay. I think as a society, we should all be investing, right, in the next
Yep.
generation of humans being with their primary caregiver for at least a year. I would say. I think at 6 months, But that's again like a broader picture investment on our society type thing.
Cause think about it, like, I remember when I went back to work. I went back to work after 3 months. You stop producing milk. Because you can't constantly be breast pumping or feeding your child, and then apparently, like, breast milk is very important for the child development and stuff. So things like that kind of affect you, and I was like, that really sucks. But anyway, but then men only get 2 weeks, but before the men used to get 2 weeks, but now they're changing it to give the men the same kind of opportunity to take off time as the women, at least the firm I work for, because imagine a woman being at home with a baby that just cries and cries and cries and cries. This is the whole thing that happens with postpartum depression too.
Mm-hmm.
At least if you have your spouse there with you helping, they can give you that time, and you can help with the baby and stuff. But
that you recover.
Yeah, and even like where I work, I've been very fortunate not to face that whole not equal pay. People, we are rated based on our work. Like, our work speaks for itself, and even most of the women who have very high roles where I work at, well, they're mostly women, the big execs, and there's also like other types of clubs that you can join. There's just one women's club, there's a mother's club where we're like helping each other. There's also a couple of like a Hispanic club, African American. Yeah, it's really great, and they bring in speakers who talk about like, oh, how have you faced any type of racial slurs, or like in the workplace kind of, and even they bring women speakers who have been discriminated because they're women or have not received pay because of their women, and they tell their stories and they talk, and it's really interesting to kind of get a perspective of someone went through, because then you think, if I'm ever in that position, I will either use that same route or kind of do something different, because these are things that you don't expect to happen to you, but then when they happen, it's kind of like, what do I do?
That sounds like a Google type environment, they got the best.
They got the sleep pods and stuff.
I know, right?
We do, but
You said we do? What?
You do?
yeah, in the office we have like these little pods where you can rest.
Hey.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
There you go.
yeah, it's a lot of work, but
I will say this: the most successful workplaces I've had women managers, because they take. I mean, men get things done, yeah, whatever. But like women, come on, work is mental. Sometimes you have bad days, and they understand that it's just not advocated enough for, I think, especially men, because they're expected to like man up, you know, and get things done.
You can't cry.
Yeah, no crying. But like women, you know, they're much more understanding. You know, just
Their
culturally.
mindset is a little bit different.
Yeah. So the most successful workplaces I worked at Godiva at the chocolate store. I had a woman manager. We were like family. I worked as a teacher, and it was a woman manager, and she understood if I called. I'm like, yo, I need a personal day. Like, I'm not good in the head. But then when I worked at a man's place, I worked at Laser Tag Ultrazone for many years.
Cool.
Yes, I'm the best at Laser Tag.
Yeah.
Like,
There
I'm
you
not
go.
kidding. I come out number one.
There we go.
I'm not kidding.
We will
Okay.
challenge you.
Please.
All right.
But yeah, just the workplace was just, it was just so bad. Like, it was not fun. I hated going to work, and
I think that's funny you mentioned, because all of my managers have been
Women?
female. Yeah, with the exception of maybe with my very first one. He was a male, and he was an asshole. And he was like never understanding. Like if you had to call in sick for whatever reason, he was like, "Where's your note? Like can you get a note?" And I'm like, "Dude, I'm sick. I'm not coming in. Like I'm not going to the doctor. I'm not feeling well." But then he was just like, that would be his thing. And then like all of my managers since then have been females, and they are more understanding. They are easier to talk to. I found myself, right? And they're more approachable. They're more. This is gonna sound like maybe bad. Yeah, it's more motherly, right? It's a thing that you just like say, right? But they have a different, right? Not everybody, because we can all agree that there's some women out there that are not good, right? Just like men. So right there's some like B words, right, out there. So same thing with guys, right? I think it's not like all guys are this, all women are this, right? It's an equal kind of thing, right? There you can find whatever on both genders. Yep. But yes, going back to what you were saying earlier, my current manager, she is very understanding. She takes care of us. We got like a team of 4 people, right? And she just takes care of all of us whenever we need to do something. She's there to fight the fights that need to be fought with people that are requesting things. And I don't know how she does it, because if I was in that position, I'd be like, "Oh, you got to get this done, Ronald. You got to get it done. That's the deadline." I don't have no leeway, but she finds a way to like make it work and make it more workable, right? So yeah, that is a very interesting point you make. We had another question. Go ahead.
Well, Wanda.
Oh, well, yeah, I've had female managers and male managers, and the difference has definitely been that there's almost an instant connection, depending on the personality of the person with a female manager. Just purely because you have those shared experiences, that person, obviously, if they're your manager, they have gone through certain career hurdles that you're about to face, and so there is that mentorship, aspect to it. But I've also seen how my male managers are able to get a lot more in my behalf, for me.
What do you mean? That is true.
A bonus, a raise perhaps, because they can push harder. It's hard for me to convince them, to do that, but a female boss sometimes, has a lot more trouble getting you to your next level. And that's an issue too. And so you have those layers, and then you also have the other added layer, and we go right back into the expectation of being a caregiver as a woman, not just like you said, people really do not hire women sometimes because they are afraid that they're gonna get pregnant, which is just dumb. And they also don't hire women because if your elderly parents get sick, it's usually the woman in the family, that kind of tends to that. If, something were to happen, there's still an assumption that if your child gets sick from school, there's still an assumption that it's the woman that picks them up. And so the bosses are like, oh, they're probably going to be asking for a lot of time off based on that. When the reality is, and some of your parents, when the reality is, that's not true. Men pick up their kids as much as women do. So,
sometimes uncles do too.
You've never picked up the
all
kids.
The time,
But I have.
There you go. Are you an ankle? Uncle?
I'm
I'm kidding.
You're an ankle?
Are you an ankle or an elbow?
Well,
But go
when
ahead.
you bring up that point, if I were a business owner and I'm deciding to hire employees and knowing what I know, I mean, I'm sorry, but like having to retrain someone because they had to leave for pregnancy, you know what I mean? Like,
How do you?
I would be more inclined to hire people, unfortunately, men, because I need to get this business running. I can't have any interruptions of like men, of women getting pregnant, of her picking up her child, which I totally agree, by the way. I worked at a daycare. Men pick up their kids all the time. But, I mean, I'm just playing devil's advocate here because if you want to get your business running and not have any interruptions, I mean, that's where the problem lies. You don't want to have to retrain people, rehire people. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you run into that risk the second you hire a man and he leaves in 3 months for a better job opportunity. You run into the risk the second you hire a man with 2 legs and he breaks one of them and then he has to go out on leave for a long time. So you run into that risk if you hire a human, period, right?
Yeah.
So you know, I appreciate you playing devil's advocate, but the reality of humanity is that at any given point, you know, if you want to grow your company, you're going to run into those kind of hurdles as a you know, human resources manager. And you simply can't cut out half of the workforce, right? Because that's what you'd be doing, cutting out half of the talent pool based on perhaps they may get pregnant. Because a lot of us don't either. Like, there's plenty of women that just simply want nothing to do with children, and that is a-okay, right? And then you know, and you know, there's a number of things, but that's what I would say to that.
That makes so much sense when you say it like that. I love that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, so I think you wanted to ask a question, but I think it's funny because my coworkers, right, back in the days, and we're all douchebags, we're idiots. So we're like,
Good
our one complaint.
Good disclaimer.
There's a lot of nodding when you said that. There's a lot of nodding.
So one of the things we used to complain, and this is really nothing, but we used to be like, why did the girls get to, on a summer day, why did the girls get to wear a skirt and we can't? Like, we should wear shorts. That was our biggest complaint from like a man and woman. That's like, that was our biggest thing.
My
I know
heart
it's like
goes out
really
to
that.
you. Jeez, how'd you put up with that?
I know, right? We survived somehow.
I told that to my manager once, and she's like, Ronald, if you want to wear dress shorts to work, I'll fight for you. That's how cool she is. No, I'm telling you, but I mean, you're right. Like, the thing, that's a good and funny point to make, because like the differences between the things that we struggle with and the difference the things you all as women struggle with are on different levels, right? Different levels, right? And it's unfortunate, and how do you change that? You know, have kids. And right, you have kids and you educate your kids differently, right? Because, or if you have nephews, you know, if you have whatever, educate the future generation differently. I'm not saying I agree with everything that kids are doing nowadays, right? You know, but that's, I think, the old person in me talking, because once you're old, you try to at least I've become to, and I've come in to understand this, that you don't want to change your ways. It's hard. It's really, really hard. Yeah. Once you're old, you know, why are we doing this? Why can't we just use like Firefox? Why are we going to this other? You know, something simple like that. You know, you're changing certain things. It's very hard. So I sympathize with folks that are older, like 60s and older, that have their own. You've had 60 years to live your life a certain way, and it may not be the right way. Right, according to the way we see it today, or what we see today as a young generation, but you've lived it that way for 60 years. Like, it's hard to change. I don't, and again, I'm not trying to like side with them. It's just, it's a reality, right? You're talking about, like, I work in the IT field in the healthcare. We have an app. Everything is an app nowadays, right? Yeah. So like, that's where you make your appointments. That's how you check your labs. That's how you do this. My dad, and they struggle with that.
Yeah, but that's, I think, only until they learn it. Like,
I don't think they're going to, though. Like, I'm like, the thing is, like, there's certain things that you're not gonna be able to comprehend anymore, just because it's like, so it'd be a waste of energy, in my opinion. Like you have something like, the thing is, it has become something that you have to do in order to get this, right? If you want to know your lab results, you're not going to get a phone call from your provider anymore. That's not going to happen. You're going to get a message on your phone that says, hey, Ronald, your labs look good. You don't have to worry about do what you're doing, right? You're not gonna get a phone call that's saying the same. That they used to happen before.
Yeah.
That was the expectation before. It's no longer going to happen. But I think, yeah,
That reminds
But it-
me. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead.
That reminds me of when I had to help my father get his first COVID appointment, and we had to sign on to iNova or iChart.
Yeah.
And
my
he's
chart,
like,
yeah.
I goes, I have to remember another password
Yep.
and another username, and I'm like, I'm sorry, Daddy, and I had to like write it down for him.
Password 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes. You were saying, Wanda?
Oh, I was just gonna say, but I think that I think that that's really interesting because what you just mentioned was kind of like, you know, lower your expectations when it comes to, you know, past generations being able to change their mind about these things. And then I think, Lady, what you were alluding to was kind of like, well, but you know, there's still some onus on yourself to try to open your mind, and like we can still talk to you about it. And I think that's kind of the sweet spot, right? Like especially as, you know, like Latinx people, you know, with our you know, family orientation and all the things that come with our culture, the expectation should be that when you tell your pops, like, you know, it's really not cool that, you know, you censor the heck out of me if I date somebody, but like you applaud the hell out of my brother for having like 20 chicks over that 1 month, you know, right? So like when you talk to them that way, you know, I will lower my expectations, right? Like I will do that, as you said, but I will still absolutely make, you know, my family responsible for saying, hey, you know, take a step back, you know, maybe practice some humility, and perhaps what you thought was right all along wasn't, you know, and perhaps it is okay for all your children to do whatever the heck they want to do with their lives. But that's like another thing, I think, separate from gender. But you know, I just wanted to point that out, that I think, you know.
Yes, Gen Z is the most sensitive of all
Gen Z.
generations.
Yeah.
New generation.
No,
Yeah,
that's a
it's
medicine.
after
Gen Z,
millennials.
I want to say it's
Cancel culture
1997 and forward.
Yeah, it's right after millennials.
Yeah. So millennials
Right
were.
after us.
Cancel.
I read this really interesting article
Cancel
saying
Yeah.
cancel culture.
Oh, they want to the ones that want to cancel Eminem.
Yeah, cancel
I love how
Eminem.
you laugh at that.
Because it's
Oh, Eminem was
Cancel
my first
Pepe Le
CD.
Pew.
Oh,
I was
Pepe
like-
Le Pew.
I mean, we survive. We're not here shooting people. Like,
But see,
this is ridiculous.
That's us.
Gen
so
Z.
that's the thing is like we have like I think, and I like thank you Wanda for like that like what you said just now. This opens my. You're right. Like we lower expectations for certain people. Maybe we also like, you know, just brush it off, but we shouldn't sometimes, right? But like I think I can talk to about this just from personal experience, right? From what I'm going through as I'm getting older. And not everybody is me. Not everybody is like me. But at the same time, a lot of people are, right? When we look about it, like a lot of us are very alike, right? In certain ways. And we, like, once you get to a certain age, I can only imagine, like, I've already learned so much. And I'm doing this in a certain way. But we have a conversation, like, it's hard. Like, race, it's hard for older generations to absorb in a way that we do, right? Because they were not with them in school 24/7 like we were.
But I mean, like, you can, like, I have this saying, and I say it to everyone, I was like, well, there's a will, there's always a way.
That's very true. Very
like,
true.
If I were a white person that didn't go to school with black people, and my neighbor's now black, like let's say black, I will go up and talk to my. If I really wanted to, I would make that effort to change. But if I don't want to, that's kind of a choice. I'm saying I like the way things are. I want things to go back to the way they were. Like some of the, I guess, Trump supporters, how they're not really against it. But again, that goes back to like that's something that they're not willing to change, and that kind of goes like they're instilling those beliefs into their kids, and then that race thing will never end.
Yes.
But some kids who are like no, this is wrong, like I don't want to be like them, will have those like international friends. Like growing up, we had a group of all of us were different international nationalities.
We were health kids. We were learning English.
It was like a requirement.
We were learning English together.
The ESL kids that we said?
health. That's what it was called.
Hill.
Yeah. I don't
Hill.
know what it stood for. No, but that's, go ahead, finish your thought.
Oh, no, that was just all because like But back to like when my dad makes an effort to learn how to use all these type of different computer systems. He writes his passwords down, which is not good, but we make sure he puts it away somewhere safe. But like there are
In
days.
the sock drawer.
Yeah. But because all the other things is my dad has from the beginning when computers were out, one thing he always said, teach me, he said. He didn't say do it for me, teach me. So my sibling and I took the effort to teach him, took notes. He knows how to do a lot of things on the computer by himself without our help. There are still stuff that are, technology is advancing. Technology will always advance where we are there helping him learn. We even like make videos for him sometimes but that's because he took the effort to say, the environment is changing. I need to adapt to this environment. I need to, because one thing too that he always said was like, you guys may not be around all the time, so I need to kind of do this on my own. And even like with, but because now he's like 66, I think.
Yeah.
I never know the ages of my parents either, so it's fine.
But
66.
Nobody else knows. Just say it confidently. 54.
You're wrong. 67.
Almost. But because he's a little bit older now, his memory is falling out a little bit. As you get older, so it's a little bit more difficult for him now to kind of learn the new applications and stuff. But I would say he always makes an effort. And my mom, on the other hand, she was more like, just do it. And we were like, no, you need to learn. And she was like,
my mom's the same. I feel like my dad is like, he wants to do it himself, and that's kind of all my uncles and my guy cousins who are like, no, I want to do this myself. And it's always the women in my family, unfortunately, who are just like, no,
they just want to get it done.
Yeah, just you do it.
Oh, that's amazing. Because actually, Evelyn's grandma, we visited her in Argentina. And she's just like that. She's just like, it needs to get done, it'll get done. Like, if she needs to cook for, like, whomever's coming as a form of payment, like, it'll be done,
Yeah.
But she's got people working for her, and I don't know how she does it. Like, she's older, and I think she may even struggle a little bit, with, like, just, going from place to place, and maybe even technology, calling someone, but there are people working for her, and she tells them exactly what to do. Like, they're working for her. And I think it's interesting because I guess it's something that women share, I think. It's like a get it done type of attitude, more like it doesn't matter, like if you need to learn it, but it needs to get done right now, so it'll get done.
Yeah.
And then I guess some men are more like, oh, well, let me learn, like your dad, so let me learn it first, and then so I can do it by myself. I know for sure I'm a little bit leaning towards like, let's just get it done and worry about learning it later. Like, let's just get it done right now. But
yeah. So it may be like a personality thing, but I also think it may be like an upbringing thing. Another game I like to play is if you observe parents of young children, and that's parents, whatever it is, mother or father. Mm-hmm. If a little girl tries to do a new task or tries to do something dangerous, she's immediately discouraged because she needs to be protected, right? No, don't do that. I'll do it, or don't pick it up. I'll pick it up, or whatever, or don't move that. It's too heavy, right? Yeah. Whereas if it's a little boy, do it yourself, like get it, pick it up, you can do it, you're stronger, pick up another one, like do it yourself, so I think that it may have also something to do with that, but like you said, it may just be a personality thing as well, but yeah.
No, that's interesting. Yeah, it definitely has to do with that.
I think culture, yeah, you're right. I think a lot of culture and upbringing, like how we used to, like, as an example, we're talking about like cooking, washing dishes. That was never a thing like that. We expected somebody else to do. Like, it was something we had to do, right?
I wonder if it would have been different if you would have been a girl, because you guys were all
thank
male.
You.
And
he said, "Oh, thank you."
Well, because you guys are all male, and then Daniela's the youngest, because she was born even after Daniel.
Yeah.
Even though they're twins, but like, yeah.
He's so proud of that.
Because I think like I wonder if, let's say like you were a girl and was a girl, and then Daniel and Daniela were boys, mm-hmm. If the perspective of that, like you having to do dishes, would have changed. I think you do. I think you're right, because it goes back to what Wanda said earlier, right? There's certain expectations that you have for a female, then there's certain expectations that you have for a male, and those were what was expected of you back wherever we come from, right? Mm-hmm. Bolivia, El Salvador, right? Here in the United States, whether I have a boy or girl, they're gonna do the dishes, right? Yeah. Doesn't matter, right? Because it's easier for me. I don't have to do it, right? That's the I'm kidding. No, but no. That's the thing. Is like
they need to learn that they need to do these things, right? When I was younger, like, we made our own beds, like, right? And then that's something that I'm teaching my son, like, you know, your mom doesn't have to do it. I don't have to do it. You have to do it. This is, you slept in it. Take care of it, right?
And he does it so well.
He does it wonderfully. Yes, better than I do. So.
And he won't do anything until his bed is made.
Exactly. Yeah,
Oh,
he's got a routine.
Mario?
Yeah, Romario does that.
Of course
Yeah,
he does.
but
He's a cute guy.
so yeah,
Tony.
Oliver tries.
Wow.
When you bring up examples, that's really interesting because I was very fortunate enough to have my dad cook and clean, so
Yeah.
I saw that in my household. And then my mom worked, and she took shit from nobody.
Yeah.
So that made me grow up like strong. The first time I experienced sexual harassment, I fought back. I was like, I screamed. I was not ashamed. I was like, I know this is wrong, and you're not gonna mess with me. So, examples in the household are very important. You know, splitting up the work. Mom works, dad cooks and cleans as well.
Yeah, I think it definitely helps you in that time of where you're not sure how you should act, and then it kind of brings you back to that moment where you saw your dad cleaning and cooking and your mom working, and you're like, no, it has to be this way. Like, I know I'm doing right by doing this, or whatever situation where you're not sure how to act, because it's hard too. A lot of times we're presented in situations where we're not sure how to act. Like, like, for instance, if a girl was harassing a guy, for instance, you know, should I be flattered? Should I feel like, you know what I mean? Like, how
it is encouraged in Bolivia to catcall with your friends, with your buddies.
I think this is the Latin
Yo.
American
South
thing.
America.
I think,
let's
I
take
think
it-
all men.
Let's take it back.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
Latin America. Oh, you're with your guys. Oh, yo, there goes a girl. Hey, I dare you. I dare you. Hey,
It's like a
you know what I
bonding
mean? They're
experience.
like, hey, you got her good. And when it's girls, they're like, oh my god, you guys are so cute.
Oh my god, my brother once got caught catcall in 7-Eleven and he didn't know how to act.
Wait, what do you mean caught? What do
He
you mean
got
caught?
he got caught
cat
calling,
call.
or he was
Oh,
cat
he was
called.
catcalled.
No, the opposite. The woman was
the
in her
girl-
car saying, "Hey, papi," and everything.
What did he? He was like, I don't know. How
Yeah,
to
he looked at her because he told me. I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, she's catcalling. She's older." And he was like, "I looked at her and I looked
Cougar.
away." He's like, "Hey," and then just walked away.
shaking his head and he just ran.
Because again, men are not used to that.
To being objectified,
Yeah.
really?
Exactly.
No, absolutely. They're
No,
not.
I run
And
into
it's
that struggle
flattering,
very
and it's
often.
flattering, for them. Whereas for women, it's like, holy smokes.
So you guys are
it's-
tired of getting like?
It's
Oh hell yeah!
It's not fun.
What kind of question is that?
It's not
It's
fun.
not fun. And people
I'm
think
a
it's
guy, and I've been catcalled like 3 times, and every single time was with Evan, and they were all gay guys. They were all gay guys. So like, it made me feel like.
Did it make you feel confident a little?
So yes. So like, so in the beginning it was like, that's a guy. I'm like,
Oh hey.
oh, what? That's nasty. Like that was my initial thought, but then I was like, wait, but that's a gay guy, and gay guys have good taste, right? And then I was like, all right, I guess I'll take it. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you have the luxury of that, unfortunately, because women are catcalled.
Nope.
Yeah, because like,
often.
if I want to wear a sexy outfit,
Yeah,
just
for
go
yourself.
out.
Just for your girlfriend.
Yeah, a guy
Just
would
for
be
your
like, whatever. I can't whistle.
We took that. We have a class where, like, in school, they had to whistle. No, I'm kidding. We don't have no
Oh, I
class.
was like,
I thought you
oh
were
my God,
serious.
I for a second.
No
It's
class.
just so weird. I mean, imagine walking, minding
Minding
your
your
own
own
freaking
damn
business,
business.
and then having like a spotlight shine on you for no freaking reason other than the fact that you
You're-
walked there,
Yeah.
you know? And it's like, what, 3, 5 guys, you know, just being dumb.
Number
And
one.
like, basically, it feels like, it doesn't feel like, it feels like they're making fun of you almost. I don't know. It feels like they're ridiculing
Abuse.
you.
It's
to someone.
like abuse.
It feels weird.
Yeah.
And honest to goodness, my response anytime
Oh,
is
yeah.
to turn around and
Yup.
because they're always like, hey, mommy, whatever. And I'm like, hey, what's up? How you doing? You know, like, what is it? What is it that you want?
Yeah,
Do you
what
need to
is-
talk to me? That do I owe you money? Like, what's the deal? Because you have no right to ridicule me or to whatever, to embarrass. I don't even know what the right emotion is.
To make
but
you feel uncomfortable, right?
Yeah, for no reason. Like, I'm minding my own business.
So-
What are you doing?
I think there's a solution to that, because
I think
like,
so too.
Oh, yeah,
I think so too.
Okay, let's hear it.
I
let's
think
hear
so,
it.
but this is very creative. I, as a guy, and I'm sure you guys have not experienced that. Like, right? Like you're walking and you see a bunch of girls, and then you're like, fuck, I have to like make sure that I'm on my best behavior, right? And then getting cat called. So you girls should start doing it to guys, so we know what it feels like. I'm being serious with this one. I'm being serious with this because
we don't want to. We know what it feels like.
That.
no.
But
So we understand.
We're basically accepting
I'm
what you're
just
doing.
saying.
So an eye for an eye.
Almost.
Here's the unfortunate reality. Very few guys in this country or the world would warrant a group of women getting together and yelling at them. And those men are usually at a stadium singing and taking their clothes off and doing the thing. So that's already happening. Don't you worry about it. But like the everyday situation, you're not gonna get a lot of fans, is what I'm saying.
So there's a reason why I'm not getting catcalled. That's
Not
pretty
you
much
yourself, I mean men in general. It's also really weird. It's just really weird.
It is weird because the reason why I say that, I saw a video on Reddit of like, I'm talking about like 1950s, a video of a woman. She was reported, which is a little bit weird even for back then, for a woman to go out, and she was literally groping men, like grabbing.
You don't have
she
to do
was
it on me, please.
she was grabbing their asses
Demonstrating.
like from behind,
Okay.
and then the guys would turn around and be like, oh, and then she would say, oh, hey, I'm just, how do you feel about getting grabbed from behind? I guess that was a thing back then for men to do to women.
Yeah.
And they would all say like, oh, something, they mumble, and they would leave like, oh, I quite like that, and they would just leave, but they would still be nervous, and they would be like that. That was their first reaction, like, oh, like get away from me, type of thing, because guys don't know that, right?
It's your personal space, like it's such a violation.
It is.
When I started going to clubs when I was 18, I didn't know any of that, and like the clubs are very packed, and everyone's dancing each other. My whole thing was like, oh, we're all dancing, no big deal, nothing. One of my friends, she was like, hey, just FYI, you might get this, like poked in the bottom area. And I was like, what? And she was like, and if they do that, you better smack them, because if you don't, then they're going to keep doing it. And apparently, men used to try to dig their, like, I won't do it. He's getting scared.
Wait. Guys used to dig what?
For Daniel, he's like, don't touch
I
me,
now
you're arresting me.
understand what they meant when they said you shared too much. But keep going. Now I get it. But keep going. This is fantastic.
But like when the girls, and back then we didn't, like in the clubs we didn't really wear dresses or like skirts. We wore jeans or or like shorts.
Good.
Oh, hey.
Okay.
But even then, the men would try to poke us like with their finger in the bottom area. And and I didn't know that was a thing until I went to this club and my friend told me, and it was Anna, and because she went to a lot of clubs. Luckily, I didn't experience it that day, but she said some men do that, and you need to react. Otherwise, they're gonna think okay, and others are gonna do it. And luckily, I have never experienced that in any of my clubs that I went to.
Were they Spanish clubs?
No, it was,
Or they were just like any clubs?
No, it was just like
It happens all the time.
Yeah, I mean these clubs don't even exist anymore. This is how old we are.
Okay, but
I don't remember the poking
Star
thing.
Lounge. Sorry.
No.
We used
Don't
to
exist
refer.
no more.
No, these are in DC.
Salsa rooms.
Love.
No, not Love. There was this,
Ultra Bar.
That still exists.
no,
I think.
not the one next to Ultra Bar. Was it?
On the radio?
No, because even in clubs, you know what? I'm not gonna get out of topic.
Yes.
But
But you're right. The expectation was if you're a woman, you will get like you will
you're
be
up for
physical.
grabs, basically.
Your physical space will 100% be violated. Like that was
Whenever
just a
you
given.
shove through the crowded, I always kept one hand on my behind.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Like
yeah,
as
girls. There's a
as a
reason
gauge.
girls get so close together at
Like
the
penguins?
club and like just
Like a little
roll
huddle?
ourselves.
Even when you
Kill circle.
reject men,
There you go.
they're
Oh,
they're
God.
like, I was just sitting down with my friend, minding my own business, drinking at Mad Hatter, and then this guy's like, "Do you guys want to dance?"
There you
and I
go.
was like, "No, we're just." And,
Well,
and then
now-
he goes off. He's like, "You bitch!" And
Damn, you
me
can
and my
express that.
me and my friend were like,
I don't have a sense of
like I don't know what
Oh, God.
I don't know what to do.
He's feeling so violated. Right?
He's like covering himself, like he's like,
Then
I
it's
didn't want
like-
me to touch it. I was like,
That's
I'm not gonna poke
terrible.
you.
That's terrible.
That's
And
never
that
happened to
happens
you.
all the time.
All the time. Just because you guys I said no, thank you.
There's an
Shit.
expectation that you should be grateful that they're paying attention to you or something. That they noticed you or something. It's like get the fuck out of here.
That's true. That's very true.
That
Actually,
is-
I don't know if it's true or not because I haven't been experienced it. I'm agreeing with you like
But
I have
you're giving-
experienced.
but you're listening to us,
No.
and I appreciate that.
No,
and
no.
that's really important. That
It
you
is.
don't have to have lived our experiences
Yep.
to believe that they are real and they're valuable. That's it. That's really important.
I think this is one of the reasons we want. I mean, I think we went farther than I thought we would talk about things, but you're 100%. There's a lot of things that you guys shared that I did not think of, and like to be honest, like if to give you a perspective from my side, right? When I go to a club, when I used to go to a club, the expectation you're trying to find someone to be with, right? That's the expectation. But like, how do you like? I did not know. Like, my dad didn't teach me. How do I approach a woman? How do I go to a woman and say, "Hey, I find you attractive"? Like, how do I do that without being offensive?
You gotta learn how to dance.
Right. Well, we gotta learn how to dance apparently. But at the same time, no. But like, how do you do it without them finding, without having to put like a facade, like to be like, I'm not here to hurt you. Like,
Your
I'm not
face
here like with a
will
white
help.
flag. You know what I mean?
That face is a
You know what I
little-
mean? Like,
Yeah, your
like
face will help.
I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, how do you do it without like having to put up a white flag and say, I'm here just in a friendly way to see if you
And I'm
want to
telling you,
talk.
it's
I appreciate
dancing.
that, by the way.
Yeah.
Like if you if you go to one of those Latin American clubs where you dance,
Yeah.
the way you touch a woman while you dance, she will know your intentions.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because like if you're dancing salsa, you're like this, right? Or like holding hands, or even putting your hand like in the behind of the woman. If you're going lower, she's gonna be like, all right, thank you, bye.
I always kept
Yeah,
mine.
so keep your hand up because
Always
otherwise
on the
she,
neck
she
level
will
is where I
easily
kept
be
mine.
like, get
I
out here.
have an answer.
Yes.
Are you ready?
Yes,
It's an
I'm
answer to
ready.
all
All right,
answers.
guys, listen up.
Ready? Consent.
Consent. You gotta.
Consent.
I have to have
Well,
so I have to
so-
ask,
so you're
verbally
like
ask.
You have
lowering
to-
your
you
hand.
have- you
Yes,
have to verbally-
it's consent is sexy.
Absolutely. You have to not just verbally ask
Uh-huh.
because consent doesn't just have to be verbal, right? Because what you're describing is a very vulnerable human interaction, right?
Yeah.
You like somebody, you
Yeah.
don't want to be rejected. So,
Yeah.
so I understand that, and I think that you approach that the way that you approach any vulnerable human interaction that you're gonna have, which is with care and with consent. And because consent doesn't just have to be verbal, you know. I
Yes.
once had a manager when I had already given like my 2 weeks notice, and so far he had behaved himself, but like at the end of it, he like, we were like, there was a car accident outside the window or something, and like we all stood up and we were standing up, and then like he legit just like grabbed me from like my lower waist, you know, and like pulled me in next to him, and he was freaking weird, and I legit just like did the thing where I was like, what the fuck is happening right now, you know, and it was just really weird.
And this
you-
is because you put your 2 weeks, and he was like, "This is my last chance
I
to hit
have
on
no
her."
idea.
Probably.
There was an accident. We stood up at the window. Like I
This
have
accident
no
is
idea
my
what-
chance.
Ka-ching! I'm gonna go ahead and cash into this.
It was just, and so that's what I mean by nonverbal consent. Like,
Yeah.
and so basically read the room, right?
Yeah,
Like
read
if
the
if she seems to have a good, you know, if you two have good energy together, if you laugh with each other, you know, if you flirt with each other, if, you know, she likes spending time with you because you say, let's go golfing together, and she's like, okay, cool. Then, you know, so I think that sometimes men want to rush certain things, you know,
Yeah.
like they're like, or and not just men, but like, I like you, therefore you should like me back, and if you don't like
Right.
me back, I'm gonna get real insecure and I'm gonna call you a bitch, right? So,
Yeah.
you know,
Daniel.
Daniel.
so you know,
No, I mean see, that makes sense, and I think it's easier said than done. I'll tell you from a guy's perspective, because like you always try to go right, and then you don't know, right? Especially if you're at a club, but everybody's there and or wherever, right? And then you just, how do you approach someone? Like, if somebody came up to me and tried to like, not that it happens, and it's never happened, right? But somebody did, like a woman came up to me, I wouldn't, and I wouldn't know how to react, right? I wouldn't know. So like, what do I do now? Like, do I say yes? Do I say no? How do we go? And then like, how do you proceed from there? So on the guy's perspective, when I'm trying to like go and ask someone out, or just to see, maybe joke, or start a conversation. Like I was never good at that. I was always afraid. And I think it goes back to what you said. I was afraid of rejection. I was always afraid of like just, being shut down right away, which happened way too many times. And when it did, after the 5th time, I was like, forget this.
Well, you struck the pot of gold with my sister.
There you
so-
go.
Aw.
Gold at the end of the rainbow. There was a pothole. No, it's not a pothole. What is it?
No, it's a pot of gold.
Pot of gold.
It's most definitely a pot of gold.
I don't know, man. I'm not from here.
Well, why
I'm not
wouldn't you
from
approach
here.
it as any other relationship? Perhaps if you were to go at, I don't know, your first day of work, and
Yeah.
you're at the lunchroom, and you see someone eating, a coworker, and you go to him, and you try to build some sort of friendship.
I could take
I-
that one.
You can take that one. Take that one there. Please do. You've talked a lot already.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Yeah.
See if we can get you to
I
say a
know.
few words next time.
Thank you. I don't. When I started at the credit union, thankfully I had Nella there and Armando and Jeanette, so I kind of already knew them. But when it came to meeting my other coworkers,
Yeah.
I would never initiate the conversation unless it was work related. It would take me freaking months to actually kind of like get out of my shell and make kind of not inappropriate jokes, but like jokes that were probably like just jokes that I would tell my friends. So.
Give us an example, because we
Yeah.
have an idea.
Yeah, getting inappropriate at work.
No.
It was a pun.
I don't know. I can't think of one right now, but like, I mean, it got to a point like after a while where I would feel comfortable enough with them to make those jokes, and I know that they're either gonna keep it to themselves because we're friends, or they're just gonna laugh and that's it. So for me, when it comes to talking to, especially to the opposite sex, even training them, I'm very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable.
But why?
Why? Because I'm not used to it.
Are you afraid of maybe making them feel uncomfortable? Like you're kind of like tiptoeing around, making sure that.
My biggest fear is that I make a woman uncomfortable unintentionally.
Okay.
That they put me into that hashtag Me Too thing, and like
Through a phone call?
not like a phone call, but like I don't know how to like I know how to behave, and I don't think of myself as a pervert, but
That's a common thing with everyone. You know, some people do things unintentionally, and it's not their fault. It's just the way they were brung up. But then that just comes to your advantage, where you can just ask them, like, "Hey, is this okay? Like, I honestly don't want to make you feel uncomfortable."
Yeah, yeah.
Like, that's.
yeah.
I mean, is that hard to ask for you, to a woman, to be like, "Hey, I didn't mean to make you feel uncomfortable."
Well, no, I mean I do, but it's just I don't like to make anyone feel uncomfortable. Even when I'm going out with someone right now, even when it's like something like thank you for listening to our podcast, by the way, lady. I know, we talked about this yesterday, last Saturday.
It was not on Spotify.
Okay.
It was not on Spotify.
Yeah,
Yes.
Daniel. But before you continue, thank you, Teddy Bear, because you want to make everyone comfortable.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. It's tough to find that, and maybe it is a family thing, because I'm the same way as him. I've never I make jokes. I try to be as funny when I know that the person's gonna be okay with it. When I get to know them, like my coworkers can vouch for that. I was probably they probably thought I was like a robot when I went in, because I would just go in, do my thing, and leave. But once you get to know people, once you get to know their boundaries, like where they are comfortable, they're comfortable because, you want to keep everybody comfortable. But with that said, I think we've been on for a very, very long time, and I appreciate you ladies coming on, and thank you very much for all of the insight. I think the different perspectives, even within women, was great having here. I don't know if you guys want to say a few things before we call it a day, but
No, I think thank you, because you guys obviously brought light to something that we as guys, I don't know a lot of the things, and unfortunately I have a sister, and I mean it shows that I slack in that department. I should probably, and my wife too, but maybe I don't communicate with them that well, and they don't suffer, or to learn more about the ways that they struggle with life and being a woman. But yeah, good insights.
Yeah,
for sure.
Any last words from you ladies before we call it one day?
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. This was great.
This is great.
Appreciate it.
Well, thank you to all the women listeners for keeping us alive.
Alive.
Yeah, alive. Without women, there would be no man.
There.
That's right.
That's true. I
This
got
is-
you there.
This is a man's world, but it wouldn't be nothing
Okay.
without the woman
Or a girl.
or a girl.
James Brown.
There you went. All
Have
right.
you been holding back for that?
Yeah, I've been waiting. Yeah.
Thank y'all, Lady, Wanda, Lenny. We appreciate y'all coming on. Bye bye.
Is it playing?
Take care.
No,
Todavía no. We'll be live soon. Thanks, Evelyn. Thank you very much.
Is it going now?
I don't know. I don't have the headset. It's going. You guys
Yeah,
can
yeah.
hear me.
Did the
All
music
right
stop?
now.